All right. Hello. Welcome to another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. Ryan, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing great.
Good.
We're going to change gears a little bit this episode, and I guess two things. After we go through the question of the day, but in the podcast room this morning, we got Mr. Keith Nance, Superintendent of West Washington School System.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
And so we'll get to the topic here in just a minute, but we're going to first start off with the question of the day.
The most important part.
The most important part, which seems to be the favorite of the podcast. We may just have a whole episode of
just questions of the day. That might be it.
So, Mr. Nance, what is the last book or article that you have read, and what was it about, and tell us what was interesting about it.
All right. Yeah. So I just returned from vacation. So I spent some more time reading for enjoyment. You know, obviously within our work and our career, sometimes you have to read academic articles and things. But I read two books while I was on vacation. The first one was a reread. It was The Obstacle is the Way, which is about stoicism and basically about about with every obstacle, there's room for growth and improvement. And, you don't circumvent the obstacles, you attack the obstacles head on. And that's the way you find success. The second that I read for enjoyment was The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell, which is a book about a coming of age of a kid that was born with ocular albinism. And so he had red pupils. And so growing up in the Catholic Church and what that was like, and the obstacles he had to overcome. So it was a fictitious, kind of in the vein of like a Forrest Gump, but more reality, I guess. And so how he overcome those obstacles, how he handled school, kids, got the nickname Devil Boy, going through the Catholic.
Wow. And what was the name of that?
It's called The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell.
And that's a fiction?
Yeah. And it's the boy's name is Sam Hill. And growing up as kids often do, they pick out the individual abnormalities that every one of us have. And so they called him Sam Hell, or sometimes called him Hellboy. And then they just the idea of growing up, making friends, overcoming those obstacles. Oh. Grew up to become an optometrist.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty. It was very enjoyable read, page turner type book. Just a fun read.
Good vacation
for the beach.
Book.
Yeah, great vacation book.
Sal, what's yours? I'll just let you go first. You've already stole my answer. So.
The reason we were laughing about this was I picked this question of the day, and Ryan had made a book recommendation to me last week, and this is the book I read, so this is the one I'm going to use, and it was about the Filthy 13. I don't know if you've heard of those, the guys in World War II. Jake McNeese, and it was the paratroopers squadron that would jump into Normandy, and he made 4 jumps into World War II, into Europe, and with Normandy being the first. And it is a fascinating book about a real life character, and he survived the war, and you can find some YouTube videos with him talking online, but just a bit of history that I was not aware of, and Ryan made that book recommendation to me last week. But some of the stories that this character had, and the movie The Dirty Dozen was loosely off of that character, right, Ryan?
Yeah, not directly. Yeah, not directly.
They weren't criminals.
I think they felt like that this was a fictitious. Fictitious? It's not fictional. Nope. It could be. If somebody would have thought of that word. But no. So it's a fictitious story because they thought those guys they thought this was folklore, I guess, is the way I took it. And turns out they were real guys. And you would have a hard time writing this and having anybody believe it's real.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the audiobook is him actually telling the stories. And the author has he's got references and,
other people who were there, standing right beside him.
And it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I remember growing up watching The Dirty Dozen with my dad. Jim Brown running through, the grenades going off.
Oh, that's right. Jim Brown was in that one.
Yeah, no, that was an excellent movie. I'll have to check out the book. That sounds interesting.
The Filthy 13.
You'll think it's fake.
Yeah.
You will.
You'll think it's fiction. He's crazy. But yeah,
Ryan, since I took yours.
Yeah, so prior to that, I read Never Give an Inch by Mike Pompeo, and that's fascinating too. It's a very interesting book, and that guy is he's a strong character. There's no doubt about it. He has strong character. He is a strong character, and obviously military background, was managing a couple machine shops in Kansas, and then obviously on through to the head of the CIA, and then into Secretary of State, which is just fantastic to me. But listen to the things that they implemented, the things that he did during his time, and all compiled into that one book. I would recommend it. So,
awesome.
Yeah,
good deal. Got 3 book recommendations off of the podcast today. So,
well, I'd already read yours. Would have used it too, hadn't been for you meddling kids.
Well, Mr. Nance, so let's. So why do we have a superintendent of a school system in on the podcast? And one of the reasons we thought this would be a great topic is because we are dealing with a labor shortage of particularly commercial drivers, and we've had some of our own folks in. We've talked about some of this on the podcast before, but Mr. Nance, at West Washington, you have done something very unique, and to address this career path, I guess, for anyone that would have an interest. So tell us about what you did to create this, or what West Washington and some of your team has done to create this path forward for kids to get a commercial driver's license.
Yeah, so prior to being the superintendent, I was the high school principal, and I always felt our career technical education program could be very unique. We're somewhat isolated, being in a rural area. We're not near any career centers. Career centers are places where schools share resources in order to get their career technical education. So we house all of our career technical education programs. We worked very hard in developing those programs with ROI Uplands region for what the needs were in our area. And so, we settled on agriculture was one of those. And then also health careers within our area. And then with Cook Medical being close, and then with Crane, military as well. So we also have an engineering program, and then we have a digital communications program that does some things similar to this with podcasting and video editing and graphic design. And then I really felt like, for us, the purpose of the CTE programs were to give our kids in our community the best step up that they could possibly have. And so we had people serving on our school board that were within the trucking industry. And the first came up when I was driving to Atlanta with a couple of teachers, and we were going down there for a conference. And one of our teachers had just taken ownership of A1 Trucking in Lawrence County. And they have a fleet of triaxles. They haul stuff for NDOT, other construction projects. And he was talking about that shortage. And, the main thing
of the commercial drivers,
yeah. And for him, Class B drivers. And so we were talking about, why aren't schools doing this, and what are the obstacles? It kind of goes back to the book, The Obstacles.
Yeah.
The obstacle is the way. And there are certainly obstacles. Number one, age. So you can't start a CDL program and get your permit until you're 18 years old. So you don't have to overcome that obstacles. But then also you have to talk about the training portion of it and having an instructor. CDL licensed individuals are so hard to come by. Getting someone to come into the education realm to be an instructor rather than to go out into what is a very lucrative career is difficult. And that's been our biggest challenge over these 5 years that we've had the CDL program. But for us, it was about giving our kids a leg up. And for me, personally, it was about I want to fill the void and help change our community in a way that could lift everyone up. And you want to have someone leave with something that gives them an opportunity to change their situation.
Or their life, yeah.
Of their life. And generationally, the biggest obstacles for most schools that they face, especially ours, are, generational poverty. And how do you get out of that, and how do you overcome that? I knew that we had an area, salt of the earth people, that had a super strong work ethic. If they're committed, they'll do anything for you. That's the way they are at our school. That's the way they are supporting our school and our community events. And that's how they are in their work life. And so I was looking for this opportunity to give our kids a true leg up. And we just spent the entire 9 hours driving to Atlanta talking about CDL and how to overcome that. He actually started off as our first instructor. He had taught 25 years as a history teacher, Mr. Cam Spires. And he had his CDLB. So we started off just offering CDLB. We worked with our county, and they were replacing some of their fleet of triaxle trucks, and we purchased one in an intergovernmental agreement. And so we benefited from that and not going out and buying something, nice. Off the lot. We worked together with them. And that first year, we started off with a CDLB program. We quickly wanted to grow that into a CDLA program as well. And so by the second year, we started doing that. We were training first on the triaxle dump truck and our fleet of buses.
Yeah.
And so, that was very beneficial. In that first year, we had 6 kids enrolled. We had 3 kids get their CDLB. We had the other 3 prepared to take their test in the summer. The 4th one I know of got his immediately after graduation. So a lot of the obstacle is to overcome is how to fit that into just a senior year, because that's when you can start them. So the first semester is all the textbook, going through the manual, working on your walk around, working on your inspection, and then we could start driving as soon as they got their permit. And they can, most of them, we had to have a requirement that you can't even be in the program unless you turn 18 before February of your senior year. Because we have to have the time to get you behind the wheel, to get you the amount of hours to be prepared to go take your test. So it was a big undertaking, and some people looked at us like we were a little crazy. But that first year, we found success almost immediately in getting kids their CDLB. And then every year we've grown upon that. The biggest challenge has been to keep instructors because him taking over that business after the first year, he couldn't balance being an instructor and running a business. And so he left. He stayed in close contact. We work with him quite often. We had another instructor come in. We've had a couple instructors in last year. We had a new instructor, and he's doing an excellent job. So we're excited about the future for that. He's a young guy, and, he's looking at it as, this is a great job for me. My kids are young. I don't have to be on the road. I can teach the next generation of drivers. And so we're really excited about Mr. Tincher being our new instructor, and he had a great success this last year.
Good. I've had a chance to kind of watch the program develop, and we've got one of your graduates working for us at the Salem branch. Kai's down there, and he has his CDL now. And I think it is neat that it's not just students that are going to choose commercial driver as a profession or as a career. There are some.
Yeah.
But there are some other kids that this is going to give them a really good, they'll always have a job somewhere. So they come back from college in the summertime and they can drive for us or another company. But then regardless of what they're doing, they've always got a trade now.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, certainly. Kai's a great example of that. He's going to school to be an engineer. Mm-hmm. He's going to school at Center College in Kentucky to play football and get into pre-engineering program. And, it's not just for those that want to go right behind the wheel. It gives you the opportunity to have a great fallback plan, number one. Number two, an amazing skill that you can have forever. And for a kid working his way through college, what a great opportunity for summer work and extra work to pick up. A lot of people have to work in the service industry while they're in college, and you're living off of tips and a small hourly rate. Any work you do for NDOT right now is paying $32.50 an hour. That's even a Class B triaxle commercial license. So, there's great opportunities to go out there and make a good income, make a good supplemental income, or, help yourself get out of college without that load of debt on top of you.
Mm-hmm. Had one student, I did senior interviews over there and had a chance, I can't remember the student's name, it was a couple of years ago, but he had it figured out. He could only drive in Indiana until he was 21, but he knew what going to Purdue or IU was going to cost, and he had it figured out how much he would be making in 3 years with his driving record of until he turned 21, and it was pretty compelling.
Yeah,
and he had a career path.
I have a friend who owns trucks and in Kentucky, and they they run down to Tennessee, and I met him in college, and so we're juniors, seniors in college, and so he's driving a truck at that point in time in his life to put himself through school. And I was talking to him about this shortage and the struggles we were having hauling fertilizer and getting stuff delivered. And he runs a lot of ag products. He runs a lot of liquid fertilizer, dry fertilizer, grain. And he said, when I started driving, he said, I'm in my teens. He said, I buy my first truck, save it basically from salvage. That's what he bought, was a truck that wasn't in good shape, but he made it nice and has had several really nice trucks and still running nice trucks now. But he said what's interesting to him is that he's been driving 30 years now. He's 48. He's been driving for 30 years. And he said, when I pulled in line at one of these plants, I was the youngest guy in line. And he said, flash forward 30 years, I'm still the youngest guy in line.
Oh my God!
Yeah. He said it, and that I thought that was a pretty profound statement. That he's like, there's nobody coming in. Nobody wants this.
Yeah.
And that's a guy who can kind of dictate his own schedule. I won't say he's home every night. He works hard, but yeah, to still feel like you're the youngest guy in the line after 30 years of driving, that tells something about the industry. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of great opportunities to drive locally. There's obviously great opportunities to drive over the road. But for us, getting the kids graduated with the CDL, if you get the commercial driver's license A, you're also certified for B. And
we might clarify that. You might just say what A and B are for a lot of our listeners may not know.
Okay, yeah. So like a CDL A would be tractor trailer. You have to get some additional certifications if you're hauling, materials that are flammable or caustic in some way. And then CDLB is more like it's based off of weight and size. So I don't know the exact numbers. It's not my realm exactly.
Not a combination vehicle.
But not, yeah. But it's like a triaxle dump truck for layman's terms. And there's great opportunities to just do that. Work locally doing that. And then you can cross neighboring state lines with the CDLA and being under 21. And I was doing a lot of conversations at the time with Trey Hollingsworth because he was working on the federal legislation to try to lower that age down. Number one, to help address the shortage, but number two, also to get these kids coming out of high school to recognize that, this is something I can do at an earlier age. Because if you tell someone who's 17 or 18, hey, when you're 21, there's this great opportunity. Well, they're thinking about tomorrow if they're lucky. That's what you deal with when you're educating children. They're talking about what is right in front of their nose. So you had to give them like some real hardcore opportunities and what's there, what's available, what you can do tomorrow. To talk to them about what they're going to be doing at 21 is sometimes not relevant to them. It takes a very mature young person to be thinking about what they're going to be doing when they're 21, 22, 23 years old. So they're more worried about tomorrow. So you have to show them the opportunities. And we did a lot of that. We bring a lot of people in, we bring a lot of guest speakers in, we take them on field trips, to companies, and show them those opportunities. Even just in our own community, the construction companies, if you have the ability to haul the equipment, utilize the equipment, because we do other certifications and heavy equipment, you become extremely marketable. And within our own community, when we did the study with ROI, the Regional Opportunity Initiative, which took place several years ago, they talked about the needs in the area, and some of it was manufacturing. A lot of it we discussed before, agriculture in our own area, health careers. But we are not trying to prepare our kids for entry-level jobs. Of course, we want to help support the needs of our local community, but we want to give our kids the best opportunity too. Yeah. We don't want you to come in and step in at the ground level. We want to give you the skills necessary to come in and step a step above that, because that's where the frustration comes when you're a young person. You know, you get in there and you get pigeonholed into a certain job, even if you do it well, even if you do all those things, the soft skills we talk about, we really hit those things hard. Be there, be on time, be willing to work. Luckily for us, a lot of that is ingrained in our community. So, you know, that's something that we have to reinforce. We don't have to teach. So the CDL program has just been huge for us. I can't say that it hasn't come without stumbles and obstacles, but we recognize it being so important and such an opportunity for our kids that we were undeterred with those things. You know, we knew that we had a vision, we had a goal, we had a place we wanted to be, and we just kept plugging away. To me, it was never an option that the program was going to go away. You know, an instructor leaves, you're like, that's a blow. How are we going to move forward? But we never talked about ever the option of the program going away. The program is staying. It sets us apart from a lot of other people. And like I said, the kids that take on that challenge, and it is a challenge to go in there and do that within a year when you're 17 and 18 years old, come out with a new appreciation for the driving industry, for what it takes to be a CDL driver, the knowledge they gain, what they learn about safety and responsibility. It's just huge. So whether you're going to be a CDL driver or you're going to be like Kai and go to college, he learned some very valuable lessons this year through our CDL program.
Well, for a lot of those kids, it's the first time they ever backed a trailer up, even behind a pickup truck.
Yep.
And so, I think it was very commendable, Mr. Nance, that you saw a need. It'd been easier just to not do it and continue, but you saw the need for the community. You saw the need for that would benefit the young folks, and have come up with a very unique and totally differentiated way for a young person to come out of high school and plug into the workforce.
Yeah, and you speak about just some of the things you take for granted, the ability to use a manual transmission.
Yeah.
You know, that's very, very rare.
I never thought about
and
that.
And so we were bringing in old pickup trucks. And like within our own parking lot, we're lucky too. We have a 60-acre campus with plenty of room to do a lot of practice. We
got not hit stuff.
Yeah, we got a full-blown course down in our parking lot that's adjacent to our football field, where the kids practice all of their skills within the tractor trailer. I mean, that's a huge advantage too. But some of the first things we do is put them in a pickup truck with a manual transmission and just teach them how to go through the gears. Now, obviously, there are a lot more gears, and it's a lot different working in a tractor trailer. But
you see a lot of Jeeps now with a picture of the shift pattern on it that says anti-theft device. Oh, God. The number of people that could steal that thing pretty limited.
Yeah.
What's this extra pedal for?
Yeah. For sure.
Well, Ryan, do you have anything else?
What has been a response as you go around to businesses and say, hey, we're preparing. We have 18-year-olds with their CDL license. I mean, there has to be some excitement from local businesses saying, man,
there's a lot of excitement. It's almost like a draft. Like they're the kids that are coming out of high school, almost like the kid that's a star athlete. You know, it's like a bidding war for who really wants to grab a hold of this kid. And then outside of that, the amount of interest we've had from legislators coming to visit our school, touring our school,
Senator Braun,
looking at our career technical education, but then also focusing on that CDL program and taking a look at it. And then other schools, we've had multiple Ivy Tech institutions. So come and look at our model at our high school, because a lot of them do have CDL programs through Ivy Tech, but they don't have it in the high school. How does that work? How did you get there? Ultimately, it was a lot of support and a lot of commitment to just saying it's important, you know, because there was plenty of opportunity to say, oh, we can't do this. Oh, that's too hard. That's too difficult. That's too much of an obstacle. And honestly, we have to set a limit on the number of kids that can take it, because there's one instructor. There's so much seat time. We have a limit at 10. It's competitive to get into it because it has grown in popularity. People have seen the kids over this course of 5 years graduate, immediately go out and outpace their peers. And so that, you know, it's kind of like the success breeds success type thing. People take note. Oh, what is so-and-so doing now? Look, he came back out to the Friday night football game driving a big diesel pickup, you know?
That he bought.
Yeah, that he bought himself.
Not Daddy's money truck.
Yeah. How do you do that? And people take notice to the success that they're having, the success we're having as a school. Also, you know, I feel like you ask around the state of Indiana, and people know who West Washington is and what we're about and what we're doing. That's pretty exciting for a school with a high school of 275 kids.
Nice.
And ultimately, it just always goes back to what can we do to benefit our kids, get them a step ahead, and ultimately just change their lives for generations. There are plenty of opportunities. I mean, a lot of people say, well, why would you go live in the middle of Washington County? There's not enough opportunity there. There's opportunity. Sometimes you got to look for it, but there's plenty of opportunity. And it's a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to raise your children and have a family. And what we're doing is removing that obstacle of, oh, well, education is better in this setting. Oh, there's more opportunity in that setting. That's baloney. You know, there are opportunities for people that want to work hard, for people that are willing to do the work and commit themselves, show discipline. You can do almost anything, you know? And as a school, those are the things we preach to them every day. So,
well, job well done, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're excited. We're really excited.
Congratulations. Well done.
Well, I think that's all we have. So, Mr. Nance, thanks for joining us today.
Yep.
We'd like to encourage all of our listeners or watchers to like and subscribe. That's important to us for some reason. We still haven't really determined why that is, but that seems to be the thing we were supposed to say. So, but thank you for joining us for another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.